Thank you, Victor, for that introduction and for this session, which is looking at trade innovation. My name is Reverend Peter Kegode. As Victor mentioned, my background is in financial investment. I'm an investment banker by training. I've worked in investment banking in the US, and I also worked in the agribusiness sector in Africa and other continents, including Argentina and as well as in Europe. I have a lot of experience in agricultural value chains and basically development in general. And I have also participated in negotiations, trade negotiations and trade missions. And I think the discussion today is more about trade. And Dr. Shauri and Robert and I, we've been working to find solutions on how we can expand trade between the US and Africa, but also trade among African ourselves, because we realize that we have been trading a lot of our resources with other continents, but there's very little trade amongst ourselves for obvious reasons. One is connectivity, infrastructure. Until recently, there has not been any infrastructure among African countries that allows us to travel easily, or for goods and products to travel easily from west to east or from north to south. But now we see efforts to build the railway infrastructure that starts from Angola all the way to the ports of Mombasa or Dar es Salaam. There's also an effort to build another railway that starts from the port of Lamu, going all the way to southern Sudan and into Nigeria. I think there are efforts to build what you call the road network system that starts from Cairo all the way to South Africa. Now, these efforts under the African Union are going to facilitate trade and investments and allow businesses to trade. I was also listening recently when one of the African biggest business person, Dangote, Aliko Dangote, he's from your country, and he said for him to travel within Africa, he needs 33 visas. He has to apply for 33 visas, meaning that he has to take his passport to 33. If he really wanted to do his business well, he has the same passport to 33 different embassies so that they give him permission to access to travel to those countries. And that, for a business person, is a major constraint, because then you're wasting so much time just trying to procure visas than actually providing solutions. So those are the things that African Union needs to address. There is need to address infrastructure, energy, and of course policy level, which allows movement of goods and products and services and people. It's very easy. We've seen most of us who traveled from the US to come to this conference. The quickest and the easiest way to travel is maybe to come all the way. You go to Europe first, and then you come from Europe and you come here. Some people actually travel all the way to Dubai, Middle East. Then from Middle East, then you come to Africa. Again, there could be just a quick route maybe coming from North America to Africa, or from the Caribbean directly to Africa, but those routes have not been very well established, because traditionally, when the colonial masters had their interest in Africa, what they did, they made sure everybody had to travel to their capital cities first. So the airlines, the transportation, the financial system was structured in a way that if it was a French airline, you go to France first before you can go anywhere. If it's a British airline, you have to go to London first before you can actually travel anywhere. So if I wanted to go to Nigeria, I have to go to London first. Then from London, I get another flight from London to Nigeria. If it is Lufthansa, the Germans, I have to go to Frankfurt first. Go to Frankfurt, then from Frankfurt I can go wherever I want to go. And that is the system that was established before in terms of trade and communication and travel. But I think that needs to change. Only that the pace at which it's changing has been a bit slow, and I think right now we need to speed that pace, especially at the African Union level, so that we can really begin to move across Africa goods, products, services in a more efficient and at a faster rate. So that's what I can say for now in terms of issues of how do we need to innovate, what should we innovate in the area of trade between ourselves. But also there is other innovation I can say between Africa and the US, for example, North America and other. And the innovation is about the e-commerce, the digital space. Because today, the quickest way people do trade is through the digital. The physical space is shrinking, but the digital space is expanding. People like to go onto the internet and they do their shopping on the internet and they make literally every decision is done on the internet. They will look at the product, assess its product, shop the product, pay online, and then the product is shipped, logistics. So again, how do we structure the logistics between Africa and North America in terms of getting our products and goods and services from here into the US market in a more efficient way, using e-commerce platforms, and of course, delivery mechanisms that allow end-to-end processes of buying and delivery of products. And I think that is an initiative that Dr. Shauri was alluding to, that we are currently piloting and that will be very beneficial to smallholder SME in Africa and also in Kenya, that will allow smallholders to have access to markets and also to trade their goods and products into those markets. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Ede. I'm the chairman Center for Export Development. The Center for Export Development is a center based in South Africa that was established in 2009 to help connect Africa to the world. I bring my greetings from South Africa and Nigeria. I actually came from Lagos to Kenya. I also want to thank the organizers of this event because in my language, we say that if the goat does not tell the story, the lion will always be the victor. It's good that at this time we have people that are thinking about how Africa can be properly positioned in the global trade. Like he has just mentioned, the population of youths in Africa will grow up to 60%, which will give us more power than every other continent. But if we are to wait till the last minute before we start thinking of how we can harness this opportunity, we will be latecomers to our own parties. So I'm happy to see young people here today in this age of artificial intelligence and machine learning. What can we do as Africans to reposition ourselves better to get the best out of trade globally? Cocoa leaves Africa for peanuts, and they come back as billion-dollar businesses. I saw a report recently that cocoa that comes out of Africa is a $2 billion, like Ghana and Nigeria imports $2 billion worth of chocolate. The gold, it's good that some African presidents now are thinking of refining gold, but most of the gold we see globally comes from Africa, but the refining of the gold has not been done in the continent. How can we explore trade in this digital age? The young people are sitting and waiting for policies, but in this day and age of the digital economy, I don't think we really need to wait for too long, because you can sit on your desktop and you can do an analysis of what a state in America wants for your products to be approved for export. But are we exploring this opportunity? The last report that came out from the US trade says that Africa is not actually exploring the AGOA Act to the maximum. I don't know if most of us here know what that means. It's an agreement with the US government to help ease trade, like for products from Africa to be able to sell in the US market with, better ease of doing business. But for us to tap into this digital age, we need to also keep our own policies up to date. Like he has just mentioned for visa, I actually missed my flight because I thought when Kenya announced the visa on arrival that I just need to take my passport and come to Kenya. On getting to the airport, I was told I need to apply and I need to wait for 3 days. If you look at what is happening in the Schengen states, you just pick up your passport or your ID document and you can get into all the Schengen states. Why do we spend a whole lot of money trying to preach the Africa Free Trade Agreement where there's no connection between these countries? Most calls are terminated in Europe. Like if you're trying to call somebody from Africa to Africa, the call has to be terminated in Europe before it comes back to Africa. What are we doing as young people to tap into this fourth industrial revolution to make trade work to our advantage? What are we doing with the artificial intelligence, or are we going to come to the party when it's already over, like we've done in the first and the second and the third industrial revolution? Forums like this, I was expecting to see more government people, to see the trade people, to also see business people, because even our craft makes a lot of money in the Western market, but those money does not come to us. We just get the minimum out of it. In my country, Nigeria, we are one of the greatest crude oil producers in the world, but we need to import petrol. Imagine the cost a country like Nigeria that uses over 30 million liters of petrol every day will spend in shipping crude oil to somewhere in Europe and bringing petrol back to Nigeria. And the crude oil has many components, up to 7. But what we get back is just 1 or 2. The 5 remains in Europe. What are we doing to change this? In Kenya, I hear the tax has increased and everybody is feeling the pinch, just for us to raise more money to pay our debt to the West, for us to raise more money to import products that we can add more value to. So I'm happy we are here today to rub minds, to tell our stories, to see how we can use innovation to make these things easy. He said he's an investment banker. Back in the days, for you to get a desktop analysis of an industry would take you to go to a specialist, which does not come cheap. But today, you can ask AI to say, you can just put a prompt to say, act like a trade analyst and analyze for me what it takes to export cocoa to Washington, D.C., for example, or to Argentina, and within seconds, you can get like a full report of what you need to do. But are we using this opportunity that technology has created for us, or we are still standing on queues to get information that we can get on our own? Are we thinking how we can better use technology? Because we keep blaming the West. You know, we say slavery, we talk colonization, we talk of brainwashing. What are we doing to change the mix? In the next couple of years, not too long, in the next 2050, the African workforce will be greater than everywhere in the world. But are we still going to use our money to pay visa fees, run to the West to go and do the second chapter of slavery, or we are going to stand our ground to think for ourselves and tell our story? Because we have seen that our continent is the richest. But are we going to still wait for us to be prompted to move, or are we going to start thinking as young people, how can we make the best of this technology? I'm happy Kenya is leading Africa in terms of startups. We are doing very well, but we report to whoever brings the money. If we can't start funding our businesses, we cannot make those decisions. I think, Mr. Moderator, I will not go too long. I'll stop here.
To try and give a thought process in terms of how do we innovate, because finance is always a bigger part of it. And right now, I think we have quite a bit of remittance coming through. What is the correlation to try to bridge that gap of getting the remittance to deliver some of the work involved? I know I'll try and mention some of them, like there's World Remit, which have always created a platform for business to send over $50,000 to invest in land, and you name it. Tap Send has done quite a bit. There's Nala, which is doing quite a bit also. So how do we, managing on focusing, how do we use the remittance to support emerging business and emerging markets in terms of just how do we fund them? So I'll put it on the floor. I'm trying to think through. Dr. Chris, what are your thoughts on the remittance? Because I know Nigeria gets quite a big chunk of it from the US.
I think it's we are seeing an increase in the inflow into Africa. But the most important thing is what are we using those inflow for? In the digital economy, the inflow is not physical. If we are not careful, it will evaporate or it will just stay and not being explored. We are seeing unicorns that are coming out of Africa, projecting from Africa into the world. Companies like your M-Pesa, your Flutterwave, and other digital companies, fintech especially. The inflow is coming, but we can gauge it now because of the digital, the latency of information in the digital age. But what are we using it? How do we position those remittance to work for us. Not just seeing the numbers on the dashboard, but how does it touch the life of the small entrepreneur that has a craft here in Nairobi? How does it touch the life of that small entrepreneur that does something out of sugarcane in Zimbabwe? How does it touch the life of that yam farmer in Nigeria? We need to let people know. We need to create more awareness. We also need to get the government to come to party by updating the policies that will make this thing work for us. I'm an evangelist of giving the younger generation, teaching them how to fish than to give them fish. If they learn the skill and they have the right information and the environment is right, I see explosion in the use of the remittance that is coming into Africa. Thank you.
Peter Kegode, what are your thoughts there?
My thoughts on the remittance is that, yes, the flow has been increasingly how much remittance is coming out of the diaspora to different countries. But, of course, as my colleagues have said, that mostly the remittance is targeted mostly on the social programs, supporting families and taking care of healthcare and some of just emergency needs that families need. But a lot of those remittances are not really going into very highly productive or investments, sometimes, of course, apart from the real estate which people invest in. I think they're not, what I'm trying to say, the remittances don't come in a structured way. And why do I say that? Because one, as Africa, we have not structured our capital markets in a way that it can support, for example, diaspora bonds between African countries. For example, if Chris in Nigeria wanted to buy a bond here in Nairobi, what kind of mechanisms do we have between Nairobi Stock Exchange and Lagos Stock Exchange to facilitate that? Now, that is lucky. Last year, we did an initiative to connect the Jamaican Stock Exchange and the Nairobi Stock Exchange, and they signed a memorandum of understanding. And hopefully, the idea was to deepen the financial markets, to deepen the capital markets, but also to allow the capital markets to begin to talk to each other and to cross-pollinate and cross-list in terms of investments. So that out of the 200 million people in the diaspora, rather than investing their money in Europe or North America or Caribbean, they can actually come and say, hey, is there an investment in Africa that we can invest? But that mechanism and the platform for investments have to be developed, and I think that's where the gap is.
Many options to look at. Are there any questions from the floor, just to basically understand the emerging markets and how they're performing?
Thank you. I want to take this opportunity to thank our guests. It has been a very, very fruitful discussion. My name is Paul Ongwen from the county government of Kakamega. I'll start from where Dr. Robert talked about the issue of agriculture. But I want to say that most of our young people are not so much into agriculture. They are traveling maybe to towns because agriculture is not producing much. But I think if we do the value addition, then that one will help. More so issue of manufacturing, and that can even create jobs. But again, having said that, just marrying it to the issue of matters trade, which we have talked about, and even how to trade with the outside world, I think there is a need for a lot of capacity building at the grassroots level, so that these people can know these matters we are talking about, issues of certification, issues of packaging, regulations that are outside there, so that they can understand. But from where I sit, I don't think maybe if we just talk here and leave it here, it might not help. And if we come to issues of even remittance from the diaspora, and as Peter has said, it is more on social but not economic. I wanted to give a suggestion that if we can come up with a resolution such that we come up with maybe an incubation center, probably in all the local governments, probably the county governments, such that the youths with their innovation in agriculture and value addition, they can come up with their small enterprises, we put them together, we build their capacity to a certain level, and even take them through some of these hurdles in the trade. I think that one can be of much help to us than just maybe meeting in an hotel, speaking, and we leave, and then continuing to send remittance. So my humble appeal is that we should look at it from that angle, so that at least we also empower the youth, and we also create jobs at the local level. Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you take that, Peter?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question and, of course, that comment. I think there are two areas which are going to be able to drive the future in a very significant way. And one is agriculture, because no matter what sector you are in, whether you are in the technological sector, you are an economist, whatever it is you're doing, at the end of the day, you have to eat. Food is an essential component that you will have to eat. So agriculture is still going to be very strong, and even I think if you follow closely some of the wealthiest people, Dangote, Bill Gates, the rest, they are now moving to buying large farms to go back to agriculture. So as much as there are challenges for the smallholder and the young people getting into agriculture, the challenge really is how do you organize yourself? How do you pull your resources together? How do you aggregate your production? How do you efficiently produce and add value? And then where do you fit into this scheme of things? And the danger of leaving agriculture to the big multinationals or the big groups is that they're going to control technology, they will control food, they will basically control everything, you know. So there need to be a balance there where the young people also come together and aggregate themselves and of course acquire the knowledge. Capacity building is so important. That's why we are doing master classes. The masterclass we are doing, you may have seen some of the masterclass which are being done here by the Peter Macon in the film and theater, getting the best people to give you the best knowledge that you can find anywhere in the world that will enable you to compete. Now, we need to get also the right people in agriculture, and Robert Shauri is one of those people who basically does certifications at a global level. So if you are trying to export your product, it has to meet all those criteria and characters for export. Chris also is in that space for developing people who really want to go. So the idea is maybe to come up with a masterclass that can then get the youth and the young people to get this knowledge so that they understand from A to Z, what is it that you really need to be able to be ready for export and to play in the global market. Yeah.
So that's some sound contribution towards understanding that topic. Are there any more questions? Okay, for now, I think we'll thank you, Dr. Chris Aiden. Thank you for your input, Rev. Kegode. And Dr. Chiori, still stick on. There's another session coming on, and I would like you to give them a round of applause for that.